to Surf Studio. Surf Life Saving is filled with so many fantastic people and inspiring stories, and Surf Studio is designed to share some of these stories from across the country and across all areas of lifesaving. On this week's episode of Surf Studio, we head to Surfers Paradise on the Gold Coast to hear more from legendary Ironman Trevor Hendy about his early days and his introduction to nippers and surf life saving. We then head to Sydney to talk to Brittaney Banks of North Bondi Surf Life Saving Club and hear about her passion in surf life saving for support operations through the Westpac Lifesaver Rescue Drone Program. Then we finally head to Victoria on the Great Ocean Road to chat to Nicole Dwyer from the little seaside town of Port Fairy to hear about her upbringing in the country, her journey through surf life saving, and how she went from farm kid to nipper coordinator.
Where did you learn to swim?
I learned to swim actually in the Daly River in Northern Territory. So it was one of the prime places that I first got a chance to swim properly. I was 3 and a bit years of age. One time I remember I can still picture this. I was very young, but I can remember this feeling. And I'd seen photos since, which jogs the memory. But we were running down this sand dune and jumping in the water in the beautiful Daly River, absolutely gorgeous. And jumping in, jumping out, jumping in. And then when we finish, we drift back down to the campsite a few hundred meters and then, cross the river and go back to the campsite. Not long after we left that for the last time to continue our trip around Australia, they caught like a 13, 14 foot crocodile sitting on that sandbank. So that's back when the crocs were hunted. So the numbers were much less, but this big resident croc was living in the area. So I often joke to people and say, I learned to swim in the Daly River, and that might be where the pace came because I was the youngest one and I might have been at the back of the pack, but I was always trying to swim to the front of the pack. So
yeah, exactly right. I can only imagine.
Handy place.
Going when you arriving on the Gold Coast when you were 8 and then starting your nippers career, I suppose. What was that first day at nippers like for you?
My buddy Stuart turned up and actually came to the front yard asking me to come along to nippers, and I had the words formed in my mouth ready to say, no thanks, I'll be right. And my dad stepped up next to me and said he'd love to come, and I didn't want to go. And I went along and we had to swim 6 laps across the Surfside 6 swimming pool to do a little swim beforehand, which was a competition swim as well. The guys were shaking their arms and had swim caps and stuff like that. And I remember freaking out, thinking, I just want to be with my family in the front of our blue Dodge truck driving around Australia, not here with these guys looking at me like this. And so I cried my eyes out. And this is another really powerful lesson that I often share to people is my father grabbed me and pulled me over and gave me a hug. And he said to the guys, start the race without him, and the race started. When everybody did their laps and they all went down the beach, I'm like, yes, I got out of that. Now I'm going down the beach. And he said, right, now everyone's gone. Now do your 6 laps. And I was like, what? And to his credit, what he did was he took away the confront of having to swim against the other kids, but he made me complete the task. So talking about neural pathways is that, and plasticity to try new things, was he lowered the confront so I wasn't freaking out, socially freaking out, but then I did the 6 laps. And so it set up a pattern for me that I've had my whole life is whenever I've actually not pulled something off or failed at something or fallen short or felt guilty or even embarrassed that I didn't manage to do it, I've always come back to it and tried again. I've gone while no one's watching and tried again, whether it's foil surfing now or surfing big waves or whatever it was, paddling skis or whatever it may be. I went away and just worked on it quietly until I was able to do it. And then always completed what I'd started, to a great degree. So that was my first day. I got in the beach flags and managed to get a flag somehow because people kept missing them and I didn't know what was going on. I got a flag until I worked out you have to get up really fast. And then I started getting it off my own bat. I think I finished second in the beach flags the first day I ever did it. And I remember looking at my mum going, yay! And I think that little association with when you win or you do well, the people around you are happy there, which is a really positive, powerful thing. But it's also a double-edged thing because you start to feel if I don't win, then no one's happy. If I don't perform, no one's happy. So years later, won a lot of races and world titles and all sorts of different things. But when it finally came time to retire and I had to go and tell my mum and dad, I burst into tears because deep down inside, the little boy in me thought that they wouldn't love me.
When was your first Australian Championships?
1983, I went to 1980 and watched at Maroochydore when Grant won the junior senior double, and that blew my mind. As a young kid, I kind of watched it and was like, wow, I think that's a really big deal. I didn't understand it fully. But 1983, I went to Clifton Beach Aussies in Tasmania as a cadet. And I remember I was in the surf teams, in fourth fastest swimmer in the surf teams. And I got in a gigantic battle all the way around. We were covered in Vaseline because it was so cold. I think we had 3 swimming caps on. Gigantic battle the whole way around with different people swimming over. I remember one guy battled all the way back in. We sprinted up the beach against each other, and he just got in front of me, and I turned around and I was last in the final. And I think we finished 4th in the point score because I was last. So I had this sense of wishing that I was faster and better and I didn't let the team down. I also raced in the board final that day and led out to just before the apex can and got washed onto that and missed the turn, ended up getting around that, coming 7th or something. But I'd never won a race till I was 16 or 17 in any type. I was always the 4th best swimmer in the club and that sort of stuff. So I fell in love with the club, and I suppose going to Aussies and representing your club and your colours and travelling and all that sort of stuff was my first Australian championship was 85 at Point Leo, which was a really cool experience.
Obviously, you mentioned a team event there as one of your first events at Clifton Beach in the surf teams. What does the team events, what have they meant to you over the years?
Oh, they meant everything. You know, I think it's really cool when, using this word spiritually again, when deep inside of me, I have something about being my own person and standing in my own power, or whatever you want to call it, you know, like be true to myself, you know, dance to my own tune. So I think individual racing was always a wonderful way to express myself, because I could express that I had learned and that I progressed and I could keep up with the best of, you know, people. And I ended up meeting crazy people around the world because of that ability to shine on my own. But that's not really who I am. You know, that's part of who I am. But a bigger part is I love family and I love connection. I love people being mates. And one of my great bugbears in life is those moments when, you have certain moments at school or sometimes in surf club or different situations where your mates turn out to not be your mates, that they might have backstabbed you a bit or something's happened, you know. And whether you created that yourself and you can't see it, you know, and someone's tried to do you in, I've always been so heartbroken and so by mateship crumbling, and I've also been so heart-filled by having mates. So racing team events is like, you're racing for something bigger than yourself. And in the early days, it's like, you know, being in Surfers Paradise Surf Club was my religion. You know, I'm not religious and still not, but that was like my religion. You know, it's like the Southport with the fried eggs down the road and Northcliffe down the other side, and you just believe in your tribe, you know, and you're racing for your tribe. It's life and death. And Manly down over the border, and Cronulla further down and everything else. So you're racing for your life, you know, because it's a psychological thing. I luckily grew up from that and realised it's not that important. It's not life and death.
Welcome back to Surf Studio. Today I'm at Maroubra and I'm joined by Brittaney Banks, a Westpac Lifesaver Rescue drone pilot. Brittaney is from North Bondi Surf Club and also a qualified emergency nurse. Brittaney, welcome to Surf Studio. We wanted to have a chat today about the Westpac Lifesaver Rescue drone program. Tell us a little bit firstly about how you got involved in surf lifesaving.
So I started from under sixes. When I started as a little nipper, Dad decided you need to join surf lifesaving, be a part of the Australian culture, and dumped me on the sand at Fingal Beach Surf Club. And from there I became involved in competition, flags, the wade, and really fell in love with the sport. And originally started as a competitor and moved up the ranks, obviously to a senior through different clubs, from Fingal to Merewether to Swansea Belmont and finally North Bondi Surf Club, and then really found my passion for support operations and everything outside of just the competition world when I moved to North Bondi and became involved with Sydney branch.
Tell us a little bit about the Westpac Rescue Lifesaver drone program and your involvement with it?
I became involved with the drones about 3 years ago, and obviously with the Westpac Lifesaver drone in the last couple of seasons. The drone for me has been a massive improvement with lifesaving. So really it's showing that the organisation is moving forward with advancements in technology, and also that we are patrolling outside of the red and yellow flags, which is something that's really big within New South Wales and Australian surf lifesaving at the moment. As part of the support operations group, it's definitely becoming a key factor when it comes to searches and searching for sharks, marine life, and really supporting the patrols when we're down on the beach. And I think over the last couple of years, obviously with a really strong leadership team with the drone program and definitely having more pilots trained up, we've seen a lot of people see the massive difference that it makes as well, not only within surf lifesaving, but also within the community. The drones have definitely assisted in a lot of searches that we could have used them previously. And you look at the use of them with other emergency services, and we've had great feedback from police, and they constantly say to us, can we use your drone? Can we use them to support us? Because it saves them using their resources and allows us to use our resources as well.
Can you give us an example of where the drone's been effective in doing one of the key initiatives of the program?
Probably got a few examples, but one to highlight was a big search we had off Bondi recently. We were searching for a missing person who had left their identification at the bottom of the cliff. And we did a big search with police divers, lifeguards at Bondi, obviously surf lifesaving, duty officer teams, Surf Rescue 30, the jet ski, just to assist and support those operations with looking in close to those cliffs. Especially in an area like that, it's really, really hard to get access. And what we did identify, and a lot of people with us identified, was that how useful the drones were at really getting in close to the cliff ledges and identifying if there was something or someone there that we could be searching for that previously we haven't had the access to. And we also had feedback from police saying that it was really good to have the eyes in the skies while they've got their divers underwater. The cameras are fantastic. We can obviously adjust them as to where we want to look as we move the drone as well. We can quite clearly see what's down below us, given we've got good visibility. And definitely in and around those rock ledges, we can really get into the areas that you can't previously access.
And what sort of training was involved before you could become a drone pilot?
So it was a weekend training session. We taught one recently within the branch, and it involved obviously instructors. So myself and Craig Howie at Sydney branch taught the program, and we had a number of people go through both the process of understanding how the drones are made, what capabilities they have, how to operate them, and the operating systems of the drones, which was a program that had been developed for surf lifesaving for the Westpac program. And then we go in and do the practical aspects once we're confident that we're happy for those guys to operate the drones. And then we take them down on the beach and put them through scenarios that we would often see, especially in our Sydney branch beaches, where it's difficult to get through people, not fly over the top of people, and get to the really difficult access areas. So it's like I said, a weekend program. And then at the end of that program, they go through a probationary stage where we work with them for ongoing flights throughout the season and in the winter off season. And then they become a qualified pilot and on our call out team. One of the biggest things, and a lot of people have said it to me, is how do you pick and choose who becomes part of the program? And really, we don't discriminate who becomes part of the program. If you show interest and you want to be part of our drone program or the drone program within New South Wales, you show your interest, tell us, what you do within the organisation, whether you're previously a part of the support operations team, that you're an active member within your surf club, and the reasons why you want to be part of the program. And then we vet that, have a conversation with you and see where we can best fit you into that program.
Let's talk about your career. You're a ski paddler, you're involved as a volunteer, as a drone pilot, and you're a nurse. I don't know how you find the time to do it all. Tell us a little bit about what some of those leadership skills you've received and some of the skills you've received since the age of 6 as a nipper at Fingal Beach Surf Club that have helped you in your nursing career.
Quite a few things within the organisation have actually helped me within my nursing career. I've had the privilege to be able to work at kids' hospitals, so working with paediatric patients and working with their parents, obviously, and working in different areas. So I now work in emergency, and one of the biggest things that surf lifesaving has taught me is managing myself, caring for myself, and also managing in stressful situations, something I wasn't prepared for when I finished university, and they really can't prepare you for is the real world. And surf lifesaving allowed me to actually see parts of what the real world was really like, and moving into full-time work, how to manage myself and have an outlet within surf lifesaving. As you can understand, emergency or any nursing can become quite stressful working in the medical field, and having that outlet on the weekends or on the afternoons to go and ski paddle was something that's really helped me out. But also knowing how to lead other young nurses as well as they come into the organisation. I, being junior myself within nursing, have also been able to develop students or other young nurses and really support them as well as supporting myself and learning from them.
The Westpac Lifesaver Rescue Drone Program, Westpac have been a tremendous supporter for surf lifesaving. I think it's one of, if not the longest standing relationship with a community service organisation in Australia's history. What's the support from Westpac like? What does it mean to the volunteer lifesavers like yourself?
It means that we are allowed to put eyes in the sky, essentially, and what Westpac has done is given us that opportunity. They continue to support us, they provide us with the equipment that we need and ensure that we are using both the equipment correctly, and they keep on track of what we're using the equipment for. So they have a really good understanding of how we use that equipment. I've had many conversations with the team from Westpac, and you can have the conversation about how you're using them, what you're doing with them, and they completely understand. They're already on top of it.
Fantastic. Now, coming back to surf lifesaving, 4 clubs, Fingal Beach, Merewether, Swansea and North Bondi. Which cap do you like putting on the best?
That's a really hard question. I think each of the clubs have shown me completely different skills, completely different knowledge, and I have a complete different love for each of the clubs. Obviously, Fingal will always hold a big part of my heart, being the first ever club. I do have to stick with North Bondi at the moment because I do compete for them, but not disregarding the other 4 clubs. My dad still volunteers for Swansea Belmont Surf Club, and they've always been a massive support of me as well. And that's where I started my love of ski paddling. So, and Merewether obviously was where I started my love of paddling and training as a senior. So all 4 of those clubs have had such an impact on me. So it's really, really hard to choose which one. But at the moment, I do compete for North Bondi. So that would be the club of choice at the moment.
Brittaney Banks, thank you so much for joining us on Surf Studio today. You're an inspiration to young up-and-coming leaders, what you do for the community, both professionally as a nurse, but also as a volunteer in surf lifesaving and also as a Westpac Lifesaver Rescue drone pilot. Thank you. All right, today I'm joined on Surf Studio with Nicole Dwyer from Port Fairy Surf Lifesaving Club. Welcome, Nicole.
Hello, great to be here.
Tell us a little bit about Port Fairy Surf Lifesaving Club and the district of Port Fairy.
Port Fairy is a town of about 3,000 population, and but we do pack a big punch when it comes to our surf club. We have 850 odd members, and the bay at Port Fairy, we're quite blessed too, at our East Beach, where the surf club is located. It's a very sheltered, safe bay most of the time, except Mother Nature does throw up the odd wave, but we are blessed to have a nice beach.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. I believe you were grew up on a beef and sheep farm.
I grew up in a little town called Bessybell. I can't say it's a town, it's actually a community. There's no shops or anything there. And a population of, maybe 50 people. Yes, grew up on a beef and sheep farm with my parents and sister. We occasionally come to the beach on a hot day, but, that might be once or twice a month. So we weren't as lucky as a lot of kids today. So I haven't lived and breathed the ocean all my life. It's only been in the last 25 years, I suppose, that I got involved in surf lifesaving.
Why did you join the surf club? What attracted you to join the surf club? Coming from that country background, obviously you love the beach, but why did you join surf lifesaving initially?
We basically lived behind the surf club, so that was a major factor as well. And my husband, Dean, he was basically in the surf club as well from a young age as a lifeguard. So I guess he's initially got me involved in Port Fairy Surf Life Saving Club, but I saw the importance that if you live in a coastal town, you need to know a lot about the ocean and respect the ocean, and obviously to save yourself and others if you get in a sticky situation.
And what a different upbringing for your children be able to be involved in, your two children being involved in nippers.
Yeah, it's great. I guess that's the first, when Lexi, who is now 10, when she first started in under 6, I was a bronze medallion and an active patrolling member at the time, but the club did have a nipper coordinator. So I just observed the first year and, I didn't want to interfere. Like, I'd obviously put my hand up to help, but I wasn't really all over what went on with nippers. But there was an opening there, and I took on the nipper coordinator's role, and I was very green at the time. So I wanted to get in because we wanted to educate our kids the best we can and help other kids with nippers.
You're heavily involved in the club. You're the nippers coordinator. You're rowing surf boats. I believe you're also involved in the Port Fairy Football Netball Club. How do you find the time to do it all?
Yeah, good question. Well, there's a bit of time at the minute because everything's slowed down, but life is very hectic. Our life is quite hectic, but I am a playing coach as well. So coach kids and also play myself and put into junior netball as well. So juggling that and work and kids and whatever, I wouldn't have it any other way, and I do volunteer for all the clubs. I just think that's what you have to do when you live in a small community, and we're a sporting family, and it's good to be out and active, and wouldn't have it any other way.
Earlier this year, you won a quite prestigious award on the Australia Day Honours. You were Citizen of the Year due to your contribution to volunteering in the community. Tell us about that.
That was a proud moment for myself. Like, you don't do all these voluntary jobs to win the awards, but then when you do, I guess it gives you a chance to sit back and reflect what you have achieved and done for a few groups in the town. I'm also on the Port Fairy District Community Bank board, and obviously that their structure is that they give a lot of money back to community groups in town, and our surf clubs beneficial there, as have a lot of other clubs. So I was very proud and honoured to win the Australia Day Award, which also fell on a big nipper carnival that I organise here on every Australia Day for the past 3 years. I thought it would be nice to invite the neighbouring Surf Life Saving Club to Port Fairy. We have our own little fun carnival. So that was on Australia Day as well, which was a big day to juggle the award and then run the carnival. But it all went off and it was successful.
So you probably nearly missed getting your recognition award as a volunteer to the community by running a volunteer organisation for the community.
Yes, it was setting up early at 7 o'clock in the patrol gear, and then running back home to quickly put on a dress and to put some makeup and hair on, run to the awards, come back, get the patrol gear on and back to the carnival.
Wow. Nicole Dwyer, thank you so much for joining us today on Surf Studio.
Thanks for watching Surf Studio. We would encourage you to get in touch with us to send through ideas or stories for future episodes. Contact the team via our social media channels or email us at surfstudio@slsa.asn.au.